Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thanks to the previous two speakers for being so calm and collected. I'm a different style. I'm here to hype things up. So I'm here to talk to you guys about how you all can take your DSCs from 0 to 194. And the significance of that number, it'll become apparent later on. So let me start with a quick introduction. I'm a Kevin. And the first thing that's going through your mind, oh no, why am I seeing lorem ipsum? This must be a mistake. No, research has shown that people don't really read past the subtitles, so why do I bother putting text there? I'm a Kevin. And on that topic, I've just noticed that recently on certain communities on Facebook, Kevins are being attacked left, right, and center. And I want to stress that here at Google, we promote an equal community where everyone lives in harmony. So please bear with me through my presentation. And instead of spending a lot of time talking about who I am, just go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn or chat with me in one of the breaks or lunch. And I'm happy to talk to anyone, answer questions. I don't know if you guys knew this, but QR codes have built-in redundancy, so I can cover a part of it up and it'll still work. So that's something that's worth exploring. But anyways, here it is. Everyone got a chance to do that? OK. So without further ado, let's get started with why are we here? I want to talk to all of you about friends and enemies, or obstacles, rather, right? We don't want to make enemies here. And there's a list of them. I heard a lot about the people's challenges from everyone. Things like constitution, school recognition, funding. We'll go through these, and I'll share some pointers on how I was able to overcome some of this as a DSC lead from University of Toronto. And on the friend side, well, everyone here is a friend, right? We're all one big family. It's cheesy, but it's true. And you have the backing of Google as well. So let's start by talking a little bit about school. Does anyone know what's here on the screen? No volunteers? No, what's here on the center of the screen? It's DSC's mission statement. So some of you clearly need to go visit the DSC portal a little bit more. And why is school important, right? Because about this much of the statement is directly impacted by your school's community. So it's important to have that good relationship with the school, with the student government. And for a lot of the universities here, or colleges, it starts with an application form just like this one. This is for the University of Toronto. And I mean, good relationships don't start with forms, right? Like, this is one way. This is the way that the school wants you to get recognized. But I'm here to tell you that there are a lot of other ways to get recognition from the community. For example, you can email profs, email your faculty, okay? Perhaps some of you register your club a little bit later. They're not letting you they're not giving you the recognition through the government or any formal governing body. Affiliate yourself with a department. Like at U of T, we have an engineering department, which has engineering clubs. CS department with CS clubs. Right? That's another avenue for getting the recognition. One thing that I personally found extremely helpful is attending the meetings of other clubs. Sometimes, as a first-year club, it's tough to get off the ground. If you can find some other clubs on campus that already share a similar mission, a similar goal, and you can sort of piggyback off of them for room bookings and things like that, that's a good way to get started as well, right? We want to encourage building communities, including collaborating with other clubs. And of course, it's 2019. So you got to use your social media channels. LinkedIn, Twitter, these are all great ways to gain the presence. And presence is recognition. If the students believe you exist, then you exist. It doesn't matter what the school says, right? But for a lot of you, you want that formal recognition. And I understand, it's important. And one of the biggest roadblocks that we've been hearing about is this constitution thing. I don't have enough slide space. This is about a third of the document. And you're like, how am I going to get this? Well, we already included the full 13-page or something document as a template for everyone to use. And if you haven't already taken a look at it, or you're still in need of a document like this, we'll share it again at the end of the summit. So now the only part that you have to change for yourself is just this, most of which you can probably copy anyways. So the name of your club and the purpose. But I want to stress that your recognition doesn't stop with an approval. After the approval, the school or the student government will often ask you to attend some extra information sessions. They'll ask you perhaps to apply for funding through a whole separate channel, or go attend these diversity trainings, ethics trainings, leadership trainings. Please, see the value in these things and keep up the good relationship with your student government or your school by actually attending. It doesn't end at the approval. The relationship, you have to build it throughout your year and for many years to come. So don't neglect these things that they ask you to attend. Now, funding is an interesting topic. It's a very hot topic. Everyone has been asking a lot about funding. And before I talk about some of my tips on getting funding for your DSC, I want to start by making it clear what funding is used for and how much funding you really need as a club. So I made this graph, and we'll quickly talk about it. Oftentimes, when clubs are just starting out, you're in that pit of can't get out of bed for this. And that's when you have absolutely nothing to start. You don't have money for room booking. You don't have money for catering. Sometimes you don't even have the money to deliver the content you need to the audience. Thankfully, you guys are all DSC leads here, and you don't have that problem, because Google will help you, elevate you to that second zone, the region of cash is king. What do I mean by that? Every extra dollar I get is going to make the event better, right? I just feel like if I spend some more, I'm going to get better food, I'm going to get a better room, I'm going to have better prizes for participants, they're all happier, higher quality. Great. For all you math folks out there, that point of inflection, that's where you want to be. That's the optimal amount of money to have. Because if you go much further, you enter what I refer to as the summit of disillusionment. When you start thinking, oh, probably I can just keep throwing more money at events and it'll just be better. Well, that's simply not true. And usually I would just stop right here, but you guys are a mature audience, so I'm going to show you what happens if you go really far. It's what I call the downfall, right? And no one here should have that problem, hopefully. Now, when it comes to tips about funding, the first one is you can't rely entirely on your student governments. Student governments have a lot of responsibilities. They have hundreds of clubs to take care of. If you're lucky, you can get a few $100s of funding. You can get maybe a couple thousand if your school is really well off. But don't rely on the student government for your primary source of funding. When our club applied to our student government, we got $50 to reimburse for our banner. And they said, good luck, now you have a club. But you can ask your faculty for support. So at the University of Toronto, we have an engineering centralized application system for clubs. You may find that at your university, different departments have different funding tracks. Make sure you do your research, right? After all, we're trying to bring communities together, and it's good to reach out to different aspects of that community. So CS, engineering, or business even, anything relevant to what you're doing as a DSC. Another very obvious source is external sponsors. As a developer student club, you're not restricted from partnering with other companies. In fact, that's kind of the point of building the community. Reach out to your local businesses and try and partner with them. One helpful strategy that I found is pitching ourselves as a technical consultation club, because that's really what you're doing. You're finding these challenges in your community for these companies and partners, and you're trying to resolve some of their technical issues. Of course, you're not expecting compensation or anything like that, but if you really need that developer API or some sort of tool that you can't get through any other method, ask them, right? It's a partnership for that purpose. They're there to support you as well. Everyone good so far? I know I talk quick. So let's switch gears real quick. We'll go to how we host the events, right? This is also a very important topic that a lot of people have questions about. And the first thing that I want to share is that you got to have a budget for the event. This may seem obvious, but trust me, so many experiences working with different people, you need to have a budget for your event. And the most important thing about the budget is documenting it. It can be as simple as a spreadsheet, just like this one. This was for our very first Cloud Study Jam. list your expenses out. It increases your accountability, it's evidence, and it helps you plan your finances for your events. Another thing is the room booking, right? Location. And there are hard limits here, obviously. For example, the location and the capacity. Where your room is relative to where your audience is, and how many people you're expecting to attend your events. Obviously, you have to consider these things. But you also have to consider your AV requirements, your power requirements. For example, for a study jam, everyone's going to bring their personal laptops. How are you going to ensure that everyone's juiced up for 5 hours? Well, we had to buy a lot of power bars. That was not a good way to spend our funding. So if you can find a room that solves that problem, you're already a step ahead. And beware of all of the rules that come with room booking in a university. I know at a lot of campuses, they don't allow food inside the lecture halls or even in the vicinity. Make sure you research these things so that you don't go in unprepared. And on the subject of food, catering is another topic that we receive quite a lot of questions about. And sometimes the university gives you some obstacles, like preferred caterers or asking for insurance. Preferred caterers, sometimes they cause some issues. They're expensive to work with. They have long lead times at times, depending on your campus. So if your campus has a preferred caterer, make sure you know about it beforehand so that you can plan accordingly. At our campus, we don't have that kind of rule with preferred catering, but the university asks for a certificate of liability insurance from anyone we work with to cater to our events. So that could be another way that they could impose some sort of restriction on who you're allowed to work with. And it's for the safety of the students. So make sure you respect those rules. On the participant side, you have to worry about dietary restrictions, which you should collect when people are signing up to attend your event, and the quantity of the food that you're going to order. You have 200 signups. How many people are you actually expecting, right? You don't want to overspend. You don't want to underspend. For us, we use 75% as a good rule of thumb, but it really depends on your campus. And just like with any other good human learning algorithms, you have to learn from your mistakes. If the first time your estimate is off, make sure you adjust for the next time you run the event. And I know a lot of you just had breakfast, so this point is probably not hitting as close to home as I'd like, but this picture looks really good. So I just wanted to magnify it, just in case everyone's hungry, you can be a bit more hungrier. Now, I saved the best for the end, marketing. Marketing is a super important topic. And that's because you can have the best room in the world, the best food in the world, and all your budgets sorted out, but you have no participants, then how do you run a successful event? And when it comes to marketing, I have some key guidelines, some tips that I've learned myself. The first is you got to have a voice when it comes to marketing. Participants aren't reading content. They're not reading material on the web or in print. They're talking to someone. That's the feeling that you want to give them. But it's important to just have one voice. Sometimes you have different managers for social media, email, print, and your marketing content is all over the place. Try and unify that, right? Work together as a club to make sure that your one voice is coherent. The second is to be persistent, but don't be annoying. And this is like a trap that I see a lot of new student club leaders falling into. I was once there myself. I was like, 200 people signed up to an event. I'm so hyped. I hope they all come. So let me remind them a week before, 2 days before, a day before, an hour before, 5 minutes before. Hey, are you coming? Are you on your way? That gets really repetitive, gets really annoying. So make sure you find the right balance, right? Don't just send out one email and then a month later expect everyone to show up, but you got to find the right balance when it comes to this. And the third point is that you always want to emphasize the right keywords. So in this case, don't do that. Students have these words that they're magnetically drawn to, and you know what I'm talking about, free food, pizza, oh God, pizza, it's like the key word for people attending events. But the DSC offers you a lot of words that other clubs can't use. Quick Labs certifications, Google Cloud, right? Google, the entire Google branding. If you work with your local GDG, GDEs, these are opportunities that are pretty difficult to come by for most clubs on campus. So use the right keywords to attract your audience. And this one's important because I put Glow 3 and Wave 2 right in front of it. And that is lead, but don't mislead. An example of this is that when we first started marketing our first cloud study jam, I was like, you can get a GCP certification from this. That's not true. The GCP certification is a professional course that costs hundreds of dollars, and you're representing Google. So don't make my mistake. Fact check everything you put in, right? Even minor differences in the wording of your posts make a big difference. It has a big impact on your community. So make sure you fact check everything again and again. And I don't know how many people played RuneScape before, but if you really wanted to see it animated, there it is. Spent a lot of effort getting that done, by the way, because my account got hacked and I just can't log in anymore. It's a bit distracting. I'm going to wave it off. But if you have one big takeaway from marketing, is constantly asking yourself, is this an event that I would attend or a team that I would join? Always have this at the gate before you post or release any content. Because if you can't even pass your own sort of firewall, no one else would be able to appreciate the content that you're outputting. Sometimes I'm typing a post, and I'm reading it, and it's so dry, I'm just like, I would just like, this is the type of content that I would just scroll right past on Facebook. Make sure that you pass your own check on any content that you're releasing to the community. So people have been asking, what platforms can I use, right? What platforms can I use for marketing? And I have a good rule of thumb. And don't take it entirely seriously, but this is the rule that I follow, okay? For people born after 1998, Instagram is the way to go. For people born before, it's Facebook. I don't know why. I was born in 1998. I'm like the cutoff. Everyone in my year uses Facebook. We use it to discuss homework and all that stuff. But everyone in the year younger, they don't have a presence on Facebook. They're all on Instagram. I have no idea what happened this year. And for those of you who despise Python, I have a C translation right here. And I know there are probably some hardcore people who appreciate binary, so I included that as well. But it didn't really fit on the slide, so you get the point. Here are some platforms that we found really helpful for from all of the leads here in Canada who are here. By the way, Jade is there and Dashman is there. You met a lot of them yesterday. Be sure to talk to them as well. MailChimp, great service for sending out newsletters, even creating a very quick landing page as a website is a good tool for that. Eventbrite for organizing events or Meetup. These are all good platforms that you guys should consider using. 30 days ago, I was in this kind of a situation. I couldn't really find any realistic photos that looked dramatic enough, but we were having trouble getting our club started. Getting the recognition. We're late to the application, had to pull a lot of strings. A lot of you have reflected the same thing. I totally get it. But after some hard work, 13 days ago, we hosted one of the largest cloud study jams in Toronto, right? And at this study jam, we had 194 participants and 192 learners. That's a 99% learning rate. And for those of you confused about learning rate, it refers to the completion of 4 more labs on Quick Labs. This is what I mean by lead, don't mislead, by the way. So today I'm here talking to you, and you're like, wow, how'd you get that picture? Here, let me pose. It's like this, right? Something like that. Photoception. It's just a joke. So let me end off with some finishing touches, okay? The first is it's a team effort. Everything that I talked about today. If you don't have the right team behind you, it's difficult. It's extremely difficult. I got lucky with my team, and I got a really hard-working team of core members. But I know it's a challenge to recruit members and recruit the right members. So if you have questions about that, ask any of the Canadian leads that are here. We've been through this process. A lot of you have been through this process. The second is you want to deliver the content that they want, not the content that you want. It's another very popular mistake for a lot of new club leaders. And take a break. We're almost there. And when I first started leading my first club, I was like, the people are going to be hyped about IoT. They're going to be hyped about machine learning. I want to deliver all of these kinds of workshops because that's what I was interested in. And I assumed that the students would be too. Sometimes they are. Sometimes you're right. Sometimes you're not. make sure that you do some research, some thinking, right? Think about what is the content that's right for your campus. Everyone comes from a different university campus or a college campus, and all the students have different backgrounds. So some students may need that GCP Essentials course. Some students may need a workshop on Git or even how to use Google Sheets, Google Docs for collaborative communication through documentations. But my point is, deliver the right content. Google currently is campaigning for the ML Quick Labs Study Jam, but that doesn't mean that that's the right place to start for your community. You don't want to scare students off. So deliver the content that they want. And for the third point, I'm just kidding. No one can, that's not possible. It's just, no point for me to say it. It's going to be have fun, right? No, that's too cheesy. I thought really hard about this. This is my last point. I want to drive it home. So this point is really for you to figure out as a DSC. No, I won't do that to you guys. I'm not going to do that to you guys. At this point, I was getting desperate, right? You can imagine I was making the slides. I was like, what's a good finishing touch? So I started even, Googling motivational quotes. I was looking at, what can I say? Can I say something inspiring before I get off the stage? It just wasn't working out. So my last point is be proactive. If I can summarize my entire DSC experience, all of my leadership experiences, is being proactive. A lot of clubs start on campus and then fizzle away because the leaders are not proactive. Recognition doesn't come to you. Room booking, catering, all these problems they have to navigate, they're not going to get resolved. Work with your team. Remember the first 2 points. That was another one that I considered, by the way, but I didn't put it. But be proactive, right? Go out and seek the answers to these problems. And of course, we're all here to help each other along the way. So thank you for listening. We're going to open up to some Q&A if you have time. And this is my citation for the numbers. OK. All right. Go ahead. Yeah, you said, I said that sometimes it doesn't matter if the school gives you recognition or not. Does the DSC recognize that you're an actual club? Of course. You're already an actual club. Your purpose as a DSC club, as a developer student club, is not to get recognition from the school. Is to build your own local community. And a lot of times, you don't have to go through the formal process to achieve that. I understand that it definitely helps you get on your way there, right? It helps you unlock room booking at your school. It gives you some resources, maybe some funding. It's absolutely not necessary. From the DSC's perspective, you're still a developer student club.
Hi, would you be willing to share some of your marketing strategies that you've used? And then you alluded to some tools like MailChimp and Eventbrite. Does DSC assist with using those if they're paid-for platforms?
Sure. So in order to check out our marketing strategy, please follow developer student clubs at University of Toronto Scarborough. That was part of the strategy, by the way. But honestly, it's a good way to check out our past posts, see what I mean by one voice, which we really tried hard to unify that and put some good content out for the students. In terms of the costs for the platforms, all of these platforms are free to use. I think on Eventbrite, unless you're charging participants to attend your events, it's completely free to use. If you encounter any challenges where it cannot be resolved without spending money, go speak to one of the community managers, and they'll help you out.
I know it was mentioned that you said that, or someone mentioned that in Canada you guys started a month earlier. So I actually have two questions that play off of each other.
Sure.
What do you wish that you would have known a month ago? And also, what do you recommend to get the most out of the summit? Like, because I know you guys have already had your summit. What went really well, or what did you do really well, and what do you wish you would have done differently to get the most out of it?
Right. I have short-term memory. What was your first question?
Okay. What do you wish you would have known a month ago, since you guys have a month on us?
I wish I had seen this presentation a month ago. right? But honestly, these are challenges I face, right? That's why I decided to share something about it. And we don't have a lot of time, so I didn't go into detail about some of the challenges. Feel free to talk to us afterwards. But honestly, it's understanding that you have support, right? I think a lot of people, yesterday I talked to some people, they're like, I can't get my questions answered fast enough. Just understand we're getting there. We'll help each other out, right? And for your second question, in terms of what you can take away from the summit, it's connections. 100% it's connections. In Canada, it was a very cozy environment with only 20 people sitting around a table and just chatting. This is a little bit more formal, but it gives you more opportunities to make those connections. So you have 100 other individuals here. Everyone around you is a friend. Make those friends, right? That's what I can say, honestly. Cheesy, but it's true.
Hi, so I have a question. How could you involve more students from non-tech background into your DSC?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'm glad you brought that up. So I didn't really talk about the core teams. I didn't really talk about the projects. I'm sure other speakers will speak to them, so I don't want to bore you with that. But for us, we're assembling teams for the projects that you saw Erica share, which are some great projects. We have some different ones coming from Canada, of course. But we make sure that every team has project managers, consultants, technical staff, and designers, right? It's all about how you market the project. No technical project is a one-man job. I mean, sometimes it could be, I guess, but it's not going to be a good product if you work on by yourself on it with only one specific skill set. So make sure that you assemble team members with all sorts of different backgrounds, and that's one of the best ways to engage non-technical team members, because they're absolutely essential for you to deliver a useful project, right? You don't want to hand in a bunch of code at the end to your business that, here, good luck, maintain this, good luck with that. You want people with the documentation, you want people with the pitching, right? You want people to explain to users how they use the products. Business roles and other non-tech roles like designing, super important. How much time do you have? 6 more minutes. Wow. Whew. I'm gonna run out of water soon.
How do you kind of strategize involving people in the project without it feeling like more homework for the students?
That's also a really great question. So earlier on, I had a point where it's like have fun, but I crossed it out. That's just a way for me to squeeze some more points in without it feeling like there's more points. It really is important to have fun. And you have to realize that this is not a full-time job for anyone here. And for the students, even less so, right? For them, you have to make sure that they're working on projects that they actually enjoy doing. I'm sure everyone, all university students, despite what people may think, every university student, I am one myself, has free time. It just depends on what you spend with your free time. And sometimes I choose to spend my free time by going out to parties or, or doing other sort of fun activities. But one of the fun activities that I consider really fun, actually, is programming side projects by myself. So if you find the right group of students who like the project that you're pitching to them and is willing to work on it out of their, just for their own good, it's much easier to convince them that it's not homework, because it isn't. And if you have members that come in because they're interested in working on a project, but they don't deliver the results you want or expect, then that's fine. That's totally fine. It's up to their own choice, right? Learning comes from within. You can't really push people to do it. But I would say in your capacity as a lead, you can find engaging projects and find the right team members who really are passionate about the projects. That'll be the best way to keep people engaged without you constantly having to go like, hey, are you done this deliverable? Are you done this deliverable? Don't operate too much like a company, sometimes. It's a student club.
Hey, so kind of playing off something that you just said, how did you find finding these projects that people find interesting, and especially with the local community? How do you get your foot in the door with these local organizations and have the meetings that you need to get the projects rolling and to find what the local organizations really need and would really create impact?
Yeah, the best way is to ask. And there are a lot of different ways that you can ask depending on your community and your university. Sometimes your university has incubator programs, or it has community outreach programs with other clubs or a formal university organization. Tap into those connections first, I would say. That's the easiest way to approach them, because you already have a bridge with the university. And you come off as a lot more legit. You add Google to that, you're gold. And another way is to simply email members of your community. You see, there are a lot of advertisements online for people looking for web developers, for businesses looking for certain challenges to be solved. Reach out to those people and say, hey, we can do it for free. And once they're interested, get into conversations with them. So there are a lot of ways, but the best way to find out what problems they have is ask. Don't assume any problems. OK, I think we're good. Thanks, everyone.